Tonight we review a bloody game called MADiSON, a first-person horror game developed by Bloodiest Games and published by Perpetual. Is it worth your time and money? Let's see. Having played all the critically acclaimed horror games in the last few years, I recently decided to pick up some titles that were recognized as either a hit or a miss. I started with MADiSON. MADiSON received average reviews and has been under debate in many forums since its release. There's a lot of talk about this title being linear and not scary because of predictable and repetitive jump scares. So, throughout my run, I made an extra effort to pay close attention to where the developers played these jump scares. Indeed, there were a lot of them, and while not all of them hit, especially ones placed really close together, I would say 90% were placed in thoughtful and effective spots, many of which sent me over the back of my couch. Yeah, I'm looking at you there at the bottom of the well. There's also been a lot of comparison between MADiSON and other horror games about atmosphere. Many say MADiSON's atmosphere is subpar. I completely disagree. It may not reach the levels of Silent Hill 3 or Outlast 2, but it surely sets a new standard for middle-class haunted houses. I think you get from a horror game what you put into it. If you play with the lights on while cooking your favorite character-shaped mac and cheese, you won't get much out of the experience. You need to immerse yourself in these worlds. Use headphones, play in the dark, put down the fork, whatever you need to do. There are so many intricate details and effects in MADiSON that you could easily overlook if you are the type of player that rushes through games. Most effects are intelligently designed enough to only activate when you're facing a particular direction. A frantic spinning of the camera could still cause you to miss something. From furniture moving, ghosts walking the halls, or even creatures watching you. It's these beautifully crafted moments that make this horror house feel occupied. MADiSON is nothing if not atmospheric. One of the issues with MADiSON, however, is getting stuck on any particular puzzle for too long. I missed an important detail about when and where to take pictures at the beginning of the game, so I spent a lot of time running around, taking pictures of everything, trying to trigger anything to happen so I could just move along already. During this, the sound effects that once had me on edge became background noise that did nothing for me. But after I figured out that the areas with the Polaroids are basically photogenic, I breezed through every puzzle in the game with the exception of one vague sketch puzzle in MADiSON's latter half. Because of this, most of MADiSON felt very well paced and rather terrifying. I don't think I've ever audibly screamed at any other game before. Having said that, if you're not a fan of the more moderate puzzles from games like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, there's a chance your opinion on the game's pacing could differ. But to the devs' credit, none of these puzzles should feel unfair. All the clues are there when you need them, and when they're not, it's fairly obvious you need to continue exploring somewhere else first. The game is centered on a teenager named Luca who wakes up in a dark room with his father banging on the door. Immediately you're thrown into an uncomfortable situation, and it's from here MADiSON pulls you forward with unsettling scribblings, clues from the past, disturbing audio tapes, and short cutscenes where your character will draw visions in his notebook. The lore you read off the walls or clues you find beneath the floorboards is intriguing, and the game's daunting foreshadowing keeps you taking that next hesitant step down its next dark hallway. What's really going on? Who the hell is Blue Knees? And while MADiSON does a lot of things right, it isn't without its flaws. It's true, the game is linear. But to be fair, there's only one place where this linearity becomes a little too on rails to truly frighten. It's also evident that the game is least interesting and enjoyable when you're stuck or have no idea where to go next. This proves that adding a multitude of direction isn't always the right move for a horror game. Another issue is the game's rather short runtime, and its unfortunately abrupt ending. I was a little saddened when the credits rolled after a short 6 hours, but I think it's a testament to a game well made. Now let's get on to arguably the biggest drawback to MADiSON, the protagonist. I have a strong belief that the game was weakened to a massive degree for anyone who suffered Luca's incessant whimpering and expositional dialogue. Not only does it disconnect you from your own reactions, but from the atmosphere entirely. If he were originally a silent protagonist, I think the critic review average would be much higher. Luckily for me, after collecting Luca's camera, I was quick to mute him in the settings menu. Just a massive little tip. The other side of this argument for biggest flaw goes to MADiSON's dated inventory system. Inventory systems should be included in survival horror, which this is not. In survival horror classics like Resident Evil 1, going back to the chest to put things away meant you had to dodge zombies, possibly costing you precious ammo or health. That's what made it tense, and it required strategy to survive on such minimal equipment. Here it's just added because, well, other horror games do it, and it doesn't work. Working back to the safe with the same sound effects repeating is not horrifying, it's a drag, and it only reminds me I'm not in a haunted house. I'm on my couch with my bunny slips and a glowing controller. Overall, MADiSON is a great horror game, and it is definitely worth your time and money, scars and all. I'm proud to have this lesser-known indie title sitting on my horror game shelf at home, and I'm giving it a solid 80%. For more game reviews, check out our review playlist and be sure to subscribe to catch any upcoming news for all things game. Thanks for watching.